Benson's here. Benson's in the house. Good morning, Benson and friends. Friends of the channel, folks who get up every morning and love to talk Magic the Gathering. This show is for you. Thank you, Benson, for tuning in. It's the morning show. It's a Wednesday edition, and it's good to be here. We're ready to do this. We got an interesting show for you folks here today. Should be a good one. It's Wednesday, January 2024. If you brought a camel to the office today because it's hump day, don't be expecting any funny looks from your boss. Are you a Magic the Gathering player who likes to track the prices of cards? Is there enough information out there, or is there just too much information? Let me do it for you. I'm doing it on the Bro Show in the morning with you folks who love the game as much as we do. Thank you all once again for tuning in. I got some interesting articles to share with you folks this morning, some Magic the Gathering news. We're going to check the stock price of Magic the Gathering cards, have a little talk and discussion in the chat. If you start the show, they will come. Exactly. I got a little cup of coffee here this morning, just getting going. First week back of the new year, what did you get up to? Are you back at the office, working hard, making the economy go round and round, doing your part this year? That's a fact. Getting out there with the hustle and the bustle and filling a need somewhere in the world. It's the name of the game. And we like to do it. Well, if you need to know what's going on in the world of Magic the Gathering, I'm your man, Brody Alfonso, here on the morning Magic the Gathering talk show. The best darn Magic the Gathering show in the multiverse. It's been confirmed on many of the top 10 Magic the Gathering tracking websites. It's a fact. We are back. Pushing that 350 subscriber mark. Ooh, a big record here. It's nice to see folks tuning in, not just the first time, not just the second time, but those of you who have been back again and again. We want to thank you for being a friend of the channel. It's great to be here. Let's take a look at an announcement made from Wizards of the Coast just yesterday. Speeding up the secret lair shipping. All right. I saw something on Reddit about this particular post. It was very interesting to see. Did you know that Wizards of the Coast is going to be limiting the print runs on MTG Secret Lair? That's the name of the game for this year. I'll believe it when it happens, right? Did you know this? So the announcement made just the other day, Wizards of the Coast is speeding up the Secret Lair shipping. Their reason for limiting the print run is in order to ship cards faster to folks. So in a Secret Lair last year, if you think back, we did Secret Agent Brody's Secret Lair review on each and every single Secret Lair that came out last year. Yes, we did. We covered it. We looked at them. We evaluated the cards and how they fit in with the marketplace against copies that are already in print, the alternate art copies versus the existing ones, to see which ones were the diamonds, which ones were the value, which ones were the ones you wanted to get your hands on. Now, previously, if you remember, when a secret layer went up, there was a date and a time where you had to get your order in by. And if you didn't get your order in by that date, then you missed out on the secret layer. The drop would end, and then there is no more. So now, what Wizards of the Coast is attempting to do, according to some users on Reddit, and I happen to agree with this particular opinion to a point, and that point portends Wizards of the Coast is going back to the well on Secret Lair in order to capitalize because it's not selling as much and as popular as it once was. So create a little bit of FOMO some fear of missing out. If they change the strategy from print to demand, where you have a certain timeline to get your order in, and of course, as that timeline draws closer to closing, more people who are on the fence about picking up a secret layer will dive in at the last minute, boosting their sales at the last minute. And then, because it was once a print to demand type of product, in this new format, it will be a numbered supply, a finite supply. They're going to say, we're capping the supply of secret layer in order to ship it faster to you folks. So once it's sold out, it's all gone, and then there's no more. So let's read this take from Wizards of the Coast itself, speeding up secret layer shipping. If you're celebrating, Benson says, back to the well, and Timmy is stuck in it, except Lassie doesn't rescue that you aren't the kind of demographic they want playing the game, right? Back to the well, Timmy's stuck in it. Lassie's not coming to help you. But this is the strategy for this year. Somebody got a talking and they figured, well, in order to speed up and increase sales, let's create some fear of missing out around the secret layer products, and let's call it an increased shipping. So thank you from Wizards of the Coast for celebrating more than 4 years of Secret Lair with us. This has been a 4-year ongoing nightmare. As with all our products and services, we're constantly listening to feedback. Wow. And one piece of feedback that we've overwhelmingly heard is that you want to have secret layer drops in hand more quickly. I believe this is more of a contrived response. However, starting in 2024, and to expedite shipping, the reduced wait times for receiving some of the wildest treatments in Magic the Gathering Secret Lair is officially shifting from a print to demand model to a limited print run model for most of the product line. There will be some exceptions, wherein the Secret Lair airdrops will continue to be print to demand for an ordering window, but moving forward, should you expect that most drops will be pre-printed and therefore able to ship out and reach you more quickly once you've placed your order. Okay, so they're pre-printing Secret Lair rather than printing to demand once they get the orders in. But practically speaking, this means that some products may sell out before their end date. There's a FOMO bit that they've snuck in there. It also means that waiting significantly less time over the order from ordering the secret layer drops to arriving to your doorstep. While popular numbers come on, we're aiming to get as close to the overall demand as possible. The result should be that most players get what they want faster. We're excited about these changes and, as always, appreciate your feedback. So, the trade off here, what I'm seeing from this piece of marketing propaganda, is that, hey, Julia Morgan, Nate Alons, Savannah Lion in the house. We're talking about Secret Lair and the change in shipping. So, what once was a print to demand type of product is now going to be pre-printed, and once it's sold, it will ship rather than waiting the 30 or 60 days for the secret layer drop period to end. Caring about that, getting the cards quickly seems to be the main concern that Wizards is focusing on from customer feedback. Has anybody complained they're not getting their secret layer quick enough? You know when the drop is going to end. So then you know when the fulfillment is going to happen. So you can kind of plan your life accordingly. But in this kind of a gut shot attempt to create some fear and uncertainty and scarcity around those secret layers, it seems as though going into the 5th year of Magic the Gathering Secret Layers, Wizards of the Coast has decided to change its strategy. That's a very good question, Savannah Lion. And will print runs be released? How about that? That article does not pretend to anything about publicizing print runs. So that's would be a game changer. I'd like to see some of the big boys give a bit of an analysis on print runs. Basically, that would allow people in the open market to gauge market demand and set pricing. It seems they are getting reprinted. I quit buying the secret layer. I think there was one or two last year that I analyzed, secret agent Brody analyzed, to be a good buy and compared to the existing printed copies of the secret layer drop. So we evaluated some of them were the combined value of the existing cards that you could just bundle up in a cart and order online. So a lot of them, I would say a good percentage of them were less than the price of the secret layer. There was only a couple of them where the secret layer price point outmatched the individual single cards price point when you bundle them all together. So having the print run data would be useful for consumers to know how popular and how many of these there are. Very good point. I like that. What do you folks think? Did you buy any secret layer last year? Was there any one that looked appealing to you? I know we got a couple of secret air drops. One came in a festival in a box from MagicCon Philadelphia, and I think the other one was given to us at Magic 30. So purchasing secret layers, I haven't actually purchased a secret layer specifically, but Mrs. Alfonso and I have gone ahead once upon a time and ordered a festival in a box in order to participate and get the products like the Phyrexian playmat that was available from MTG Philadelphia. We wanted to participate in that product buy. But now I'm starting to really change my strategy for 2024. So it pains me to order directly from Wizards. And this is another way of sending selling singles directly to consumers, because that's the name of the game. Maximize profits, cut out the little guy. I prefer to go to the local game store. And this year, in the bear market that we're sitting in, I'm thinking even a better option for perhaps getting through the first half of this year is to avoid vendors. Avoid the vendor shops. And this is sort of where my mindset is at this year. Being in a bear market, the buy list prices aren't really where they're supposed to be. There is one card that I want to discuss with you today that has done exceptionally well in this market compared to any other singles that are out there. This is a particularly interesting card. I did buy a couple non-foil copies of the Gemstone Caverns back in 2019 for about $28. And at that point in time, the price of the foil variant was $100. So I was unsure about playing the card. I was playing it in a turns build, and I picked up a playset all the while of non-foils just to try it. So we're going to take a look at Gemstone Caverns here this morning, just to take a look and see how that card is doing. Because if there's one fella out there who knows about foil multipliers and how those can affect cards in certain sets, especially from some of the older sets, it's my friend Cosmic Seeds. So we're going to discuss this card just a little bit, because if I could pick any one card that has done exceptionally well through the entire bear market, it's this one here. I'm talking about the Gemstone Cavern. All right. Here's an interesting card, and it's been reprinted on the list. And going back to 2017, this card was fairly easy to pick up. Fairly cheap. It was around the $28 mark. This card's taken a really big bump up in price over the last couple of years, mainly due to Commander and the fact that taking the play with an extra land in play is definitely a way to get ahead on the board. Now, I want to just scroll back and look at ye old. Let's go back to 2022. So here's around the 100 and a half mark. This sucker was 100 and a half. It was $150. Wow, that's quite a bit for a card that's still seeing print. But this is the time spiral version, and it's bumped up in price a couple of times. Now it's drifting down, finally coming down. But that's not the version that I really want to look at, because if we compare to the foil version, now the time spiral remastered version will fetch you $100 if you this is some value that you could get out of time spiral remastered. But here's one of the learning experiences that I had when I look back at my cart and I see a card that I bought a play set of for $28 a piece could have spent the 100 and got the foil version. It's a land. So first things first, if you have a suspicion about a land that may be good in long term in the future, if the foil premium is not too far apart, try to do yourself a favor and pick up one copy of the foil version. Now, this ship has sailed. I wouldn't suggest anybody buying into Gemstone Caverns foil time spiral at this point, but it's a good lesson to learn when you have the pain of looking back and say, man, I ordered Gemstone Caverns. Did I get the foils? No, I didn't. Why? Oh, well, they were at $2 or $3 more, or maybe they were $100 rather than 28 bucks. You'd still been better served to just pick up one copy of the foil because this thing has been rocking and on a tear. And I think this chart just sort of proves my point. Let's take a look. This foil version has been extremely strong over the same time period. Going back to 2021, this card had a big spike in price, maybe just a bit of a market outlier, but was coming in at roughly $100 and then 100.5 earlier in the year. So 2020, 2021, this card was a hundo. Now it's seen, if we drag this chart up, now it's seen really steady price stabilization. And it could be because of competitive CEDH continues to be a format that players want to get into. It's a one-off, and this one's almost $500 now, sitting at $500. So for me, I'm just thinking in this entire Magic the Gathering market, if there's one card that I would say has done extremely well despite being in a bear market, it's this Gemstone Caverns, and the Gemstone Caverns is sitting at $450. All right, so that brings me to my next card here that I want to take a look at with you folks. It's a cave. Give me a second, just let me pull it up here. It goes in the lands deck. And it's such a new card that I'm having trouble remembering the name here. What? Somebody help me out. Echoing Deeps. That's the card. Lost Caverns of Ixalan. All right. Land is always a good investment. How's my favorite Canuck, eh? I'm doing not too bad. MTG Gaming Bob in the house. Nice to see you. We're talking a little bit about Secret Lair and then the announcement that came out yesterday that that's now going to be not print to demand, but pre-printed. Pre-printed, and it'll only be available in a certain quantity. So rather than have the timer going off on the Secret Lair, it'll be print to demand, which bodes the question from Savannah Lion. Will we know the print run numbers on the new Secret Lairs that are coming out? Hard to say. We're talking about the number one best performing card is picked by Brody Alfonso. The Gemstone Caverns in foil has done extremely well over the last couple of years. It's up 400 and something percent. So my next pick is this card right here, Echoing Deeps. This is a land, all right? It's in the rare slot and it's from the last Lost Caverns of Ixalan. Why I like lands as a card to speculate on in Magic the Gathering simply because they are colorless and they end up in any deck. Much like artifacts that become popular like the Lotus Petal and our mana sources, this is true to the testament of Magic the Gathering. Lands can actually slot into any deck because all decks need lands. Now, this card may not be super overpowered at the time. Now, I know let's just read the card, okay? And then we're going to take a look at the cheapest version of this card, the borderless foil Lost Caverns of Ixalan. It's $2.30. It's a land, and it says, This land is a cave, and you may have it enter the battlefield tapped as a copy of any land in a graveyard, except it's a cave in addition to its other types. So this can, in a commander game, if there's any lands in the bin, perhaps a fetch land, and your mana source is a little weak. This can, and somebody's already cracked a fetch land and you're not on turn one, the Echoing Deeps can copy a fetch land from a graveyard and then get you into your library to go search up your duels. So that's a utility for this card. I see all kinds of utility for this card for $2.30. I picked up 6 copies of the foil version of this not too long ago, just before the new year, and I figured I would try it in a lands build, trying to copy cards like Wasteland, Urza's Saga, and Ghost Quarter from the graveyard. Ghost Quarter can give you a lock against your opponents if they're not running enough basics, and basically mana hose them, I guess, land destruction. So this card does it all. It does land destruction. It works especially well in the lands deck simply because it can copy lands that get removed, and if it also partners very well with Elvish Reclaimer. MTG Gaming Bob says, Echoing Deeps makes Triomes even better. Yes. Triomes better. I like it. So there's also another card that plays with this, and we're going to see how popular this gets, because Caves, I believe, is a new card type for Magic the Gathering, especially on a land. I know we had the Gemstone Cavern. We're talking about caves. We've caved in to prices here in Magic the Gathering. There's another card that goes well with this, and I think this card from Lost Caverns of Ixalan is very special, and it is maybe an indication of more cave land types matter. Let's take a look at this card, Spelunking. Now, Spelunking is very cheap. It's only $1.17. When you look at the other excuse me, when you look at the other options that are available to players in the lands build, we're looking at Exploration, which is 1 mana and especially powerful because it's a first turn play. This allows you to play an additional land during each of your turns. However, the Spelunking card costs 3 and it's only $1. It may be not turn 1 playable, just like the Exploration, but this one says if it enters the battlefield, draw a card. So it nets you a card. So this is card draw, whereas the Exploration, it gets more cards out of your hand than it puts into it. So if you're playing turn 1 Exploration, you're probably playing 2 lands behind it. Now you've got 3 cards on the board, and you've got to find a way to draw, or you've got to pull that Life from the Loam, and you've got to dredge. So Spelunking enters the battlefield and draws a card. Then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. So if you're land shy, this replaces itself, just like Richie Dubs just said, and it lets you put a cave onto the battlefield and gain 4 life. This extra part of text on so if you put a cave onto the battlefield, so if you do put the Echoing Deeps onto the battlefield, which enters the battlefield tapped as a copy of any other land, it can also enter as just a regular land that taps for 1, but it does enter tapped, so it has a bit of a downside on it. Spelunking has this excellent ability, second line of text on it that says, lands you control enter the battlefield untapped. What? All right, I got to get a little sip of coffee to see where we're going with this. So Amulet Titan, that was a deck. Amulet plays it with the check lands, the ones that when they enter, you got to return a land to your hand. But having any of the check lands or the tap lands that tap for 2 mana enter the battlefield tapped is a really big downside. This allows you to get around it. Any cards that come into play tapped for the land base in your deck, this is going to fix that problem for you. Lands you control enter the battlefield untapped. So it's really nice, especially if you consider perhaps you're running shock lands instead of dual lands in Commander, or if you're playing it in Modern. This will fix the life issue that you're going to have to pay to put those shock lands into play untapped. So rather than paying 2 life, your shock lands just enter the battlefield untapped. Plus, if you put a cave onto the battlefield, you gain 4 life. If you put Echoing Deeps. So I want to take just a look at this card, see where it's played. It's an uncommon. I did pick up 1 copy, kind of hard to find. People are enjoying playing this while it's in rotation. It's also played in mid-range, in 5-color Commander, and in Pioneer. Amulet Titan's playing it. There is a Selesnya Amulet Titan deck playing it. Let's take a look at this. The Arboreal Grazer, the 0/3 Beastie Boy, that puts a land from your hand on the battlefield and is just an exceptional blocker. Dryad of the Elysian Grove, Azusa's lost but seeking. She's still lost. It's 2024. Azusa is still seeking. And then we got this Cultivator Colossus, an excellent big boy. Power and toughness equal to the number of lands you control. 1 copy of Spelunking. It's got no copies of Exploration, but a copy of Spelunking. Amulet of Vigor, Expedition Map, the One Ring, and Spelunking. We kind of want to take a look and see if we're playing the Cave, Crumbling Vestige, Forest, Gruul Turf. See, this is what I'm talking about. Gruul Turf enters the battlefield tapped, so this Spelunking gets around that. Your check lands will enter untapped. New Ixalan mechanics are broken. Morning stonks and tongs with your friend Brody here. We're talking Magic card, we're talking lands, we're talking winners for the year. And a great pick that I like to look at is the Caves. Slayer Stronghold, Sunhome Forest, Valeria West, Valakut, the Molten Pinnacle. Of course, you get an extra Valakut. All right, if you want to run more Valakuts than the next player, Echoing Deeps is the card for you. Discover Discovery. I don't know which it was. Discover seems to be pretty ubiquitous. Discover. Let's check out Discover. Or Discovery. Discover? It's the new Cascade. Oh, yeah, it is totally the new Cascade. Discover's better than Cascade because if you don't hit, you get to put the card in your hand. It's busted. It's definitely a busted mechanic. People are just going into Discover instead of Cascade because it is quite a lot better. Friends in the chat, Richie Dubs, Prime 406, and thanks for you guys for tuning in. All right. Well, I've got another news article for you folks here today. Let's just take a quick look at what MTG Rocks has to say about the Magic the Gathering Secret Lair sacrificing availability for faster shipping. This is one interesting piece. I didn't mean to derail. This whole show is a constant derailment. That's why we're here. We're here just to get the train on the track, and no matter how many times it falls off, we're just going to put it back on again. Recent announcement from Wizards of the Coast spells big changes that the way the Secret Lair products will be arriving in players' homes. Ever since the direct-to-consumer product line was introduced to Magic the Gathering 4 years ago, shipping has been a largely remaining big issue. Is it, though? I think this is just contrived issue in order to FOMO into this product. But let's read on. Shipping being the largest issue with the Secret Lair, whether it was enormous expenditures to get Secret Lair products across the nation, or it's got bigger problems than anybody could imagine, or a Secret Lair commander deck that went missing for more than a year. Shipping of Secret Lair products has already improved heaps and bounds from where it was when it first started. According to a recent statement from Wizards of the Coast, long shipping times remain a big complaint from many Magic the Gathering Brody fans. Depending on the secret layer, it can still take a multiple months between ordering your secret layer product and having that product arrive at your front door. As with all of our products and services, we're constantly listening to the feedback from consumers. And one piece of that feedback is the overwhelmingly heard that we want to have secret layer drops in hand more quickly. I am a believer that people plan their life. I don't know anybody who looked at a secret layer drop that came out with the timeline and the little countdown ticker that they had on the side of the screen and said, I can't wait that long. I need it now. Right. But what they're telling us is that players just can't get them fast enough. Will this increase people to buy it faster instead of waiting for the fulfillment time? Well, only time will tell. Because in an effort to continue improving the Secret Lair product series, Wizard of the Coast plans to make changes to the Secret Lair products line. This will successfully help manage the product players' hands sooner. This change, however, will create even more problems for Secret Lair products. As Savannah Lion did mention, will we get to know the print runs? Only time will tell. But a statement issued by Wizard of the Coast this afternoon claims that some big changes coming in the Secret Lair product line. In order to speed up shipping times, they'll be switching from print to demand model to limited print run treatment. Meaning, do we get to know what the limited print run numbers are? Or is that going to be, and is it going to be the same for all secret layers across the board? Is there going to be 500 of them or 1,000 or 10,000 of them and that's it? And then people would be able to watch how quickly the secret layer sells out, because once it's gone, then they'll probably pull the secret layer down because it will be fulfilled. So if one sells out pretty fast, you can gauge the market temperament by how quickly it sells. If you have known print run numbers, you may be able to gauge the secondary market price on this. And I don't know if Wizards of the Coast is doing this simply because of the outcry of demands of players not being. I don't think anybody has any money. That's where I think people are tired of getting the secret layers jammed down their throats. And when the timer comes on and says, okay, you've got 30 days and so many hours to pick up this secret layer, people say, okay, well, if I can skip this one, I'm good for another 30 days. Safe at second. But if it's something you really want, you're like, okay, well, I got 30 days to make up my mind and maybe bite the bullet and go ahead and buy it. I can do a little research. I can watch the Brody Alfonso show where Secret Agent Brody compares the prices of the Secret Layer cards against the original prints and to see if there's actually good value there. Do a little market research, maybe wait for some of those singles to come up in the secondary market in the original print run and pick them up there because they're a little cheaper. But nevertheless, Wizards of the Coast statement has said that there may continue to be exceptions to this change where some secret layers will continue with the current print to demand model that remains available for an allotted amount of time. So they're going to have an option here. They're going to flip flop. They're going to say, well, some of them will be printed demand and some of them won't. They've left themselves an out to go back to that strategy. It may be that moving forward, you should expect that most drops will be pre-printed and therefore able to ship to you and reach you more quickly once you've placed an order, because waiting for that timer to tick down is just something that players don't want to do. I can't see it. Everyone I know is like cringing and biting their nails to see when secret layers come out and going, if I really need to buy this? And if so, at least I got 30 days to put some money aside, go dig through the recycling and get a couple of pop bottles together in order to put some scratch together to make the secret order. The biggest problem with secret layer is that they are just another way to siphon off the value of people's collection via more print runs. Yeah, and I believe that too. I'm with you on this one, Bob. It seems that this is a way to actually put some fear of missing out behind the secret layers, saying that there's not just as many as as people want. You got to get them, and you got to get them now. You got to get them fast, otherwise you're going to miss out. So I would expect to see some pretty spicy reprints this year, going along with this strategy. The part that I think that is just coming to mind is that they already know what secret layers they're going to be printing, or they may already have printed them. If they've put some, I would expect some hotness in some of these secret layers for Wizards to test the market to see if they can get these things to fly off the shelf as soon as possible. So don't be surprised to see a secret layer coming out this year that has a reprint in it or a couple of reprints in it that are just hotness and of currently very expensive cards that people are going to want to fly off the shelf. And when that happens, they're going to be like, yes, we knew it. See, it's sold out in one day. If we put foil reprint of Lotus Petal in one of those secret layers with an amazing art on it and some artifacts that are, $20 hard to get, then they're going to watch these things fly off the shelf because people are going to want to get them right away. The issue has plagued Magic the Gathering product releases, completely destroying product availability. One of the most extreme examples harkens back to the release of War of the Spark. The Mythic Edition box was a limited edition print run that at the time was incredibly valuable, but the product sold out in literally minutes, with many players and Brody Alfonso fans getting a false confirmation of their order. Oh, yes. Did you remember this? There was people getting confirmations on product that was already sold out. There was a lot of upset people. So I guess this is the I think here's the consent here's the thought here. You make the problem and then you provide the solution, right? That's something that could have been avoided in the first place, but it gives them a good reason to pivot. Pivot, 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 pivot. Hasbro, Chris Cox, and Cynthia Williams, they could be the two folks from Friends carrying the couch up the stairs in the apartment. Every two steps, they're yelling at each other to pivot, pivot, pivot. And all the players just are just on the other end of the couch going, "Shut up already!" You created this problem, and now we're pivoting into yet another solution. Fortunately for players that were affected by the unfulfilled orders were refunded and received an uncut sheet of foil rares and mythics from War of the Spark for their troubles. I actually have one of those uncut sheets right here. So I'll show you. Here's the uncut sheet. So this was an uncut sheet that I was able to pick up off the secondary market. I have a little bit of more of a sense of how those came to be. They were hard to pick up at the time. There was only so many available, and that is the reason why. So Brody Alfonso, I purchased the uncut sheet from the secondary market. I must disclaim to you, it was damaged when I got the sheet. The corner of the sheet was kinked. So even though they did hand out some uncut sheets for unfulfilled orders, some of the redemption products weren't in great condition. It's on the corner, so you can't really notice it. And I put it in a picture. I got it framed, so you can't actually see that's covered in a mat. But the corner of the uncut sheet was dinged. Nevertheless, the foil uncut sheet redemption for folks who were left unfulfilled. I was never into the Secret Lair series. It missed me completely. Well, it reminds me of a fine joke. The Hole in the Mattress by Mr. Completely. Secret Lair selling in minutes? I don't know, but limited print run products selling out very quickly in the world of Magic the Gathering has historically been a major issue. The players appear to be worried right out of the gate, and it doesn't seem to plague the current releases too badly. Many limited edition Magic deals in the past have sold out terribly quickly, and this means that the players that did not even have the opportunity to buy these products from Wizards of the Coast themselves. Well, let's just remember this is a game for people 13 and up. So, if you're 13 years of age, you probably don't have a credit card. So, who are they speaking to you? Let's understand the audience that this is for. This direct to consumer print to fulfillment and print to demand is only for folks with credit cards. I guess if Timmy or little Brody can go to Papa Alfonso and say, "Hey, I really want this secret lair." Can you imagine being a kid trying to pitch this to your parents? Mill Master's back. Brody, did you get that out of the back of the boy's life? Ah, keeping everybody chuckling here. The Mill Master, thanks for joining us. Nice to see you, Richie Dubs, Game and Bob, the Prime 406 Games, Savannah Lion, and all the friends here this morning. So could you imagine what this is going to do for Timmy, right? So previously the secret lair was timed and you'd have 30 days to go and add that to your cart. So Timmy would have like a month to 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 come up to Papa Brody and be like, "Hey, Dad, guess what? There's a new secret layer out, and it's really awesome, and I really, really want it." And like put that, put the bug in the parents' ears, right? Because remember, Timmy's like 13 years old. He doesn't have a credit card. So with the old format, Timmy had like a full month to sell the idea. Like maybe Timmy's birthday is coming up. It's like, hey, Dad, guess what? My birthday's coming up and I will really want this secret layer. You got 30 days to get it. Can you please, get it for me for Christmas? Because I don't have a credit card, right? Now, with the limited print run on the secret layer, Timmy's going to come home. He's going to be like, Dad, 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 guess what? Brody, 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 Papa Brody. The new secret layer just dropped. And then Mama, Papa Brody can be like, hey, great. Um, We'll think about it, right? If you're really good and you do your homework and you do your chores and you mow the lawn, we'll get it for you. And then Timmy can be like, yeah, no, you can't wait to get it because it's only limited print run. So you have to like commit to picking that up for me for my birthday present, whether or not I'm good or bad, because it's going to sell out in a hot minute, right? Like this is the one. So now, like, this reminds me of the type of attitude that kids get when, like, parents are trying to get them to do their homework. So, like, Hasbro is adopting this, like, kids not doing their homework, bargaining with their parents over doing their homework. It's like, well, if you don't, I'm not going to do my homework. And you're like, well, you got to do your homework. Otherwise, you're going to get bad grades. Yeah. So if you don't buy me this new secret layer, I'm just going to get bad grades and get a D. And you're like, well, that's not how it works. You get good grades and then you get the secret layer. No, no. Well, if you don't buy me the secret layer, I'm just going to not do my homework and then I'm going to get a bad mark. And then you're going to be the parent who has like this failing and unsuccessful kid because you didn't give me extra TV time. You didn't let me have the secret layer and like you didn't get me all the toys I wanted for Christmas. So I'm just going to fail. And this is like puts the pressure on the parent. Like, that you can't really have 30 days to decide whether or not you're going to buy the secret layer if Timmy's been, good or bad. If you at least if you're a parent, you've got the credit card and you're going to shop for a secret layer for your little one. See, this is the scenario that Wizards has created. Hasbro's creating with this limited print runs. Just imagine you know, the 13-year-old who wants a secret layer and his parents and how that interaction is going to go down, where the parents could say, well, you got 30 days. This secret layers, if you're good and you do your chores every single day for the month, I'll pick it up for you. But now Timmy can put the pressure on the other foot and say, well, you only have so much time to get it. All right, leading to other problems in the room that the limited print run creates. Limited print run products that sell out quickly and have tended to have an additional clientele to their own traditional customers. Scalpers. Hey, super fast tortoise. Nice to see you. How you doing, D? Big D is in the house. Let's just top up that cup of coffee where we talk about Secret Lair, the new product fulfillment strategy for Wizards of the Coast to get you your secret layers faster because nobody wants to wait. Everybody got all kind of money sitting around on deck just ready to like. I mean, I think what they should do is as soon as the one secret layer sells out, then they just put up the other one right behind it, right? They don't. Are they going to time the releases of the secret layer, or are they going to time the releases based on product fulfillment? So if one secret layer sells out in a week, do we just launch the next secret layer the following week because it's already printed? And then we can speed it up and we can go turbo time and just try to get these out as fast as possible and like not pump the brakes because that 30-day timer is really slowing down the potential sales. What do you think is happening here? That broke that joke, bro. You steal it away. It's yours. It's yours, my friend. Enjoy. All right. So we're talking about secret layer. We got folks in the chat. Uh, what's hump day like for the working parents? A Wednesday that never leaves them alone with a never-ending work. Hmm. If you can get a full week's work done by Wednesday, you're doing good. You might as well just take the rest of the week off. And what do pirates call Gym Wednesday when they go to work out? Peg day. Don't skip peg day, all you pirates out there. It's Wednesday, it's leg day, and for all you pirates, it's peg day. Don't skip it. All right. This could also mean that some fantastic reprints that will be coming out in the Secret Lair products may not have as big of an effect on the secondary market prices either. So we're talking about scalpers here. Not only do scalpers mean that the demand for the product already outweighs the supply, but the additional interest from scalpers trying to make a quick buck can make these products sell out even cheaper. What's the pirate's favorite letter? Well, you'd think it'd be the R, but it'd really be the C there, Richie. It also means that if fantastic reprints come out of a Secret Lair product, you may not have a big of an effect on. We're doing pirate jokes today. I love it. On the secondary market either. This is arguably one of my most beneficial aspects of the Secret Lair product line for players. So if we know the print runs and we know the print runs are fixed and it's just a limited edition Secret Lair, then folks can actually jump in on the Secret Lair for the secondary market resellers. This is dipping their toe into an uncharted territory. It's only going to mean something if we know what the print runs are. Stay tuned in the world of Magic the Gathering. Let's see if we can find out a little bit more about known print runs or not. Let's have a little sip of coffee and let's read on. Please post your favorite pirate joke in the chat. I need a little chuckle. Okay, to give an example, the writer of this article was able to purchase a non-foil Mycosynth Golem for 26 bucks. From the Mycosynth Secret Lair, it was still above the average rate for the card according to TCG Player, but a bargain in comparison to the card's previous value of $40. Limited print run Secret Lair products could mean that these cards have a little to no impact on the secondary market. In fact, since these cards could be even rarer than the potential counterparts, it just might introduce a more desirable version or print of without impacting this card's secondary market value, and that is assuming, however, that the limited print run will not meet demand. All right, so last year we did a little Brody, Secret Agent Brody Secret Lair review where we compared the cost of the existing printed Secret Lair cards against the new reprints to see if there was any value there. And this is what this fella is talking about right here. If a Secret Lair is coming out, if it's limited print run, is it going to affect the cards in the secondary market? Remember how everyone loved that the 30th anniversary countdown kit was out of stock within a couple of hours? That was fun. Yes, so now there's a perfect example. MTG Gaming Bob says that's a non sequitur argument about reprints not hurting the market. That is only true if they don't reprint the same cards elsewhere. This is hogwash. That's a good point. It doesn't mean that it can't be reprinted in a secondary set or a commander or a master set or like a Ravnica remastered. What do you guys think about that's right. So if a card comes out in Secret Lair and then also comes out in another set following that, a master set or just a regular reprint, then that's definitely going to be the gotcha, isn't it, MTG Gaming Bob? That's a very good point you make up. This is this point to this article assumes that the Secret Lair will be the only reprint that happens of that card in the year. It is not to say that it couldn't be reprinted in a box set and also affect the market even more. But I do remember everybody was watching the 30th anniversary countdown kit. It sold out very, very fast. That was a lot of fun. It wasn't a lot of fun to watch the products. Actually, it was very cringe to just like see the products being launched, but there was a real coming together with the entire community over that countdown kit, that launch, and that was into snarky snark, sharky shark. Then they will make it a mystical archive too in 8 months later. Early concerns from the player base suggest that many players are worried about the overall availability of Secret Lair products following the change. We've already had one Secret Lair product follow this limited print run strategy, and it sold out incredibly fast. This is the success story of the MTG 30th anniversary. As mentioned by the Reddit using Snacky Shark, the 30th anniversary countdown kit was a particularly valuable secret layer containing a whole advent calendar worth of cards that sold out very quickly, including the Magic 30 product. They pulled that right away. So that was a limited print run secret launch as well, but not so secret. Scalpers were also all over the product, quickly listing the countdown kit for higher than its initial price on sites like eBay. So, what does this mean for the price point for secret layers? They do vary in cost, and what you get in the card package does vary. Sometimes it's less or more than what the original printings of the cards are worth. But if there's a bundle there that looks appealing, it's very tempting to pick them up. Let's look at another Reddit reaction here from the indubitably nerdy. Indeed, in general, bad news for the consumers. This is in general bad news for the consumers. They're creating more FOMO in exchange for nothing. Cost savings by their side and nothing gained on ours. Scalpers will also buy out the whole product supply and be able to compensate for unsold products by their side by applying massive markups, ultimately allowing Wizards, at least at first, to consider all the sales as successful regardless of the number of real players actually getting the secret layers into their hands. So this is what Savannah Lion was talking about and alluding to earlier, known print runs. If the print runs are known and then uh, resellers can actually get in there, pick up a smack load of a particularly hot secret layer, and then Wizards of the Coast will consider it a blooming success because it sold out so quickly, thus creating a little bit of a FOMO for the player base or Timmy, who has to get his Mama Alfonso or Papa Alfonso to get out the credit card and just get this before their chores are done. Personally, as a player who's not a collector, I don't mind Secret Lair too much as long as they don't have mechanically unique cards in them. There are still reprints that increase the supply of useful game pieces. The game pieces, right? Right. I think the 2024 could be the year of the proxy. I know that a lot of folks are championing the proxy cause, and I can really see why. For 2024, I know I did some buy listing videos with Brody, and I did go to a card shop over the holidays and vendored a third of my stack of vendors. And I didn't ship them in because I wanted to save shipping, and they had something nice in the showcase that I really wanted to get. So I did do a vendor package to get some singles, but I think with a bearish market right now, vendoring cards is going to be pretty tough. Modern has taken a hit, and I think discussing this with T Freezy just the other day, I was driving home with him. I said, "Man, these commander staples are really expensive. The free commander spells like the deflecting SWAT, the fierce guardianship, and the gemstone caverns, especially in foil, and the deadly rollick card. If you don't have those cards, you're playing at a disadvantage, and they're about $50 a piece. So you're about, you walk in for three singles and you're like 150, $200. Ouch, that hurts. So these reprints can help that. But I said to T Freeze, I said, to get this, I picked up a Gaia's Cradle. So I vendored hard into the Gaia's Cradle. I got rid of the couple of a bunch of modern stuff. And I said, yeah, modern seems dead right now. Like there was a stack of modern cards that they just didn't want, and there was stuff in there that you would think they would just snap take it, like Goblin Guides, some Goblin Chieftains, a lot of red tribal stuff that is popular in Burn, and they just said, no, we don't want these. And I was really surprised to see a card shop say turning away certain modern staples that they're just not so sure of. And then Tyler says, he says to me, I think people are protesting by not supporting modern because like they don't like the direction that things are going. And in fact, a lot of tournaments are switching to Pioneer in order to start support different formats. So modern is really suffering, and modern is a very volatile card market. Acquiring mechanically unique Magic the Gathering cards even more difficult than previously because the Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves Secret Lair and the new Tomb Raider crossover and the recent Doctor Who Secret Lair printing, including the 14th and 15 Doctors, mechanically unique Magic cards that are becoming more frequently put into Secret Lair products. Secondary marketplaces for desirable ones also rather ludicrous. Ed, the dual brain here, the brainster. Good to see you, Bro D. More of you in the new year, but you're always on when I'm at work, so I can barely hear you above the machinery, the machinations that are happening over at the Dual Brain Factory. Yep, that's the man with the plan, always running the factory. He's got one brain on the machine and another brain on the stream, if you know what I mean. Hit that like button, thanks. It's the year of playing something else. I did pick up 2 starter decks of Lorcana with, actually, Mrs. Alfonso picked them up and we tried that, and that's a lot of fun. Here's the thing with Lorcana, it's actually getting hard to find. It's also a print to demand game, and I can see with did you folks know that with just rounding the corner of 2024 on New Year's Day, I believe it was, that Mickey Mouse became public domain. So the copyright for Mickey Mouse expired after the 95-year copyright law, and now Mickey Mouse is in the public domain. So if you want to put Mickey Mouse on just about anything and promote it, I think you can. I think you're allowed to even like sell merch and T-shirts because I see folks that are making Mickey Mouse memes, Mickey Mouse playmats, Mickey Mouse merchandise, Mickey Mouse shirts, and then putting their own stuff on there to make it fantastic and cool. And they're able to sell those products and monetize them without getting any copyright law violations. So that kind of is suspiciously paired up with the launch of Lorcana last year, just before the intellectual property of the Mickey Mouse copyright come due. And maybe there's a way that they can copyright like the gameplay mechanics around him and try and like clutch down on some more intellectual property rights. But Mickey Mouse, he works for the public now. He does not work for Mr. Disney. He works for you, me. You can hire him to do just about anything, and he's happy to do it. So that's kind of nice to see. Unlike some of these other IP, like the Doctor Who series, the Secret Lair, the Laura Croft, and the mechanically unique cards that we see coming out in Secret Lairs, all is not lost. Superfast Tortoise says Secret Lairs are a cheap shot to sell cards for higher than cost and to hit the collectors and the collectors' costs. I know a lot of modern players don't like the hyper manipulated modern meta. They ruined it. All is not lost. Fortunately, Wizards of the Coast appears to be aware of the potential issues created by the new changes in the Secret Lair drop format. In their statement, they mentioned that previous data from the Secret Lair product will be used in order to create enough products to satisfy the audience that they believe it will reach. While popular Secret Lair drops may sell out fast, we now have 4 years of Secret Lair base our print run on numbers on. And we're aiming to get as close to overall demand as possible. Will we know the print run numbers, or is that going to remain private? Hopefully, this means that the overall impact of this change is exactly what this statement aims to communicate, and faster shipping times, at little to no downside, will say that just how impactful the limited availability of secret layers will be until players experience the change for themselves. Will premium reprints sell out overnight? Probably. I'm willing to bet that a switch to this format, they already know what all the secret layers are. They're probably already printed. They probably already got the print runs locked and loaded and know exactly how many are going to go out to consumers. And foistered with that kind of a package, these some staples in there, some high value reprints. They're going to switch their strategy to just print to fulfillment. With premium reprints selling out overnight, will Secret Lairs end up being available for longer periods of time? Maybe we'll start seeing Secret Lair bundles as prizes in Magic Arena events. It's quite difficult to say at this point, but hopefully players who want Secret Lair products are able to buy them and start playing their cards even quicker. This whole concept of Wizards of the Coast ducks the 13-year-old player. 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds do not have a credit card. So the players that they are talking to are not the young bucks, not the little Timmies and the little Brodies. These are adults so the players that they're talking to here are all 18 plus, people who can actually have a credit card. We are not knowing the audience. Like, this is the sort of the unspoken message with the whole Secret Lair. It means like you have to have a credit card to order it. Right? So you got to be an adult. We're marketing to adults here, not to Timmies or little cousin Brodies. Because then the little cousin Brodies, they don't talk about little cousin Brody who's got to go and shop this idea of getting a Secret Lair to his mom and pop for a birthday present. And if he's extra good for the next 3 weeks and does all his chores, maybe they'll buy it for him. No. The gun is to the head and they have to buy it fast. And why wouldn't you? All right, what's moving and what's shaking? It's Wednesday. What's going on in your world? Give me your best pirate joke. I really want to hear it. What do we got? We got Modern Monday, Pioneer Tuesday. Let's hit the Pauper list. I like it. Pauper. I feel Pauper it. My Pauper strategy for this year is to trade more and buy from stores less. I'll still buy from the local game store we have in town, but I'm not going to try to mail order vendor any cards this year. I'm going to try and trade with friends. I'm going to hold off. I'm going to try and keep that value in the play group rather than sending it off to the vendors, simply because with everything in the bearish market, if we have a market correction, we don't know when it's going to be. Could be later this year. It could be next year. I'm not interested in getting the feel bads for anything that I vendored too aggressively. I just want to take it very slow. Very slow. I'm not just going to sell out of modern cards at this very moment where the prices are low and the buy list isn't there. Modern's not very popular. What do we got here? Dust to Dust. Show me your ashes to ashes and your dust to dust. This is an interesting card. All right, it's white. Let's look at it here. It's $9. It's on the movers and the shakers. $9 for an uncommon? Really cool. This is the 5th edition. Is there a 6th edition? No, they didn't make it. But this was a card from the Dark that actually got reprinted. The Dark version, I think I have it. It's got some creepy art on there, but it's some Drew Tucker art. Really cool. I think it's watercolor on canvas with this one. Then they got the Masters edition. And then that's all online. But then the 5th edition is the only other printing of this card. So you got the one from the Dark, and the one from 5th edition is actually leading the way. It had to be printed at common in the Dark in order for it to be pauper legal. So let's take a look. Was it shifted? Yes, it was upshifted to common. That's why this card's a little bit more money. Dust to Dust. I think we saw it last year making some moves on the movers and the shakers list. Let's see. Brody just wants to draw lines on charts for you folks here. Going back as far as, let's see, 2021 and a half, 2021.5, this card was 60 cents. Taking a big poke up in price right about here. Into 2022, this thing took a draw up in price, and then it's leveled off, and it's now going on its second run all the way up here. Pretty interesting to see. Azorius Affinity, Coggates, Jeskai Affinity, Boros Synthesizer, Orzhov Ephemerate, so the Blink deck, Familiars, Boros Bully, Burn, and Zergo Helmmaster all playing it. Remove 2 target artifacts from the game. It's as good as Force of Vigor, or better because it exiles them. Seems pretty good for 3 mana in white. This sorcery, it's got no alternative cost, so it's going to cost you double white to cast it, but still a decent card in Pauper. 2 things. You get to nip 2 things. Not just break 2 things, exile 2 things. Next up on the Pauper list this morning, we got Crimson Acolyte. Let's see here. There gold in these hills here. What's this creature do? It's a 1/1 pro red. You pay a white, target creature gains protection from red until end of turn, and it's cost you a 1 and a white for this cleric. Available in Invasion. The foil version, this is the only printing of this card. Pretty interesting to see this. The foil version is $10 for a common. Crimson Acolyte, very cool card. This is, see reprint equity all over this sucker, perhaps. $10 for the foil version of this baby here. Only one printing. I did not know that. The Crimson Acolyte card, giving everything pro red whenever you want it. For 1 mana. Jessica, I'm thinking this is probably a sideboard card. Crimson Acolyte, yes. It's definitely in the side in 60 card formats. Not a bad card when you can put it in the sideboard in a 60 card format and give yourself pro red. Crimson Acolyte coming second from the top. And we also have Lotus Petal. What a great card. I did trade one of these. It seemed yesterday to T Freezy. This is like a one of must have in commander decks. The cool thing about this card is it was printed in Tempest. And I remember when this card came out, I thought it was really cool because it's like a piece of the Black Lotus. Just one of these petals here, right? Little piece of the Black Lotus. It's like, yeah, it's 0 mana, and it's just one petal. Just give me one petal of the Lotus, and I can get 1 mana of any color. This was printed in common, and there were tons of them going around, and people just had Lotus petals coming out their ears. And now, several years later, this common from Tempest will fetch you $20. $20 bill from Tempest. That's right, $17. It was also put into a, what is it called? Plane shifted? Or what do they call that one with the a little symbol on the side of it? Remastered? Yes, it was remastered. And it was also in the Kaladesh Inventions, a very expensive version of it. So this thing has seen plenty of reprints, but the nice thing about it is it was printed in common, and I don't think it was printed in common ever since Tempest. But since being printed at common, it's been upshifted several times. There's been many other print versions of it played. It's a good long-term investment, I would say, to have one of these for each commander deck. I have a play set that I use in Legacy. I can also play it in Vintage, so that's always good. But right now, I'm sort of leaning towards keeping at least a play set of these staples, so I can build up more than one commander deck, and then have several decks on board. That's the goal for this year, is to sort of unbuild play sets and put them into better commander staples, and put them into individual commander decks, and sort of build up several decks. This goes in Pauper, it goes in Commander, played in Legacy, Vintage, and it's not Pauper that's pushing the price on this and giving it a long-term hold. It's definitely the older format. Reanimator, Initiative, Mono White, Initiative, also playing it. A very cool card that was printed in common is the Lotus Petal. Relic of Progenitus. I like this. Oh, and there's one more article I wouldn't mind sharing with you guys today before we run down the movers and the shakers. It's a really good one. I enjoyed it, so I want to share it with you. Relic is $5. Pretty decent card for $5. This uncommon that was printed in common slot once upon a time. It's seen plenty of reprints, but it's a really good piece of graveyard removal, right? 1 mana, you get the relic, you tap it, target player exiles a card. from their graveyard. They get to choose it. If they only have one card in the graveyard, well, it's not hard to get rid of it. And if there's too many targets available, you just pay the one, exile it, and all graveyards go, and you draw a card. Very good, very good card. I think the Soul Guide Lantern is another card that costs one that does graveyard shenanigans and draws a card. But the Relic is also, I think, the Soul Guide Lantern. Let's just take a look at that. Maybe it's not. Soul Guide Lantern? Can't spell it. Nope. I think it's the Soul Guide Lantern. Costs one mana and it also sees some play. So similar card that exiles graveyards is a Relic of Progenitus. Here's another card, the Sunscape Familiar. Interesting card. Phyrexian Furnace Brow. Well, let's look that up. Phyrexian Furnace. The furnace? We want to see the furnace? What you got cooking in this furnace? It's from the list. Exile the bottom card of target player's graveyard. Sacrifice furnace, exile target card from a graveyard, draw a card. Interesting. The Fernacci. Very, very cool. Similar. This is a card that I never really paid any mind to. Thank you for that, Mill Master. You're the Mill Master. That's why you know about this card. I should have put 2 and 2 together. You are the OG Mill Master. Yes, if you're milling, you want to be killing the graveyard as soon as that shenanigans gets there. If you got something that shuffles, yes, this is good tech. I like it. I should have known better. Thank you for that, Mill Master. Learning and earning here today with you folks on the channel. I love it. Love to see the chat. Phyrexian Furnace and the Relic of Progenitus. I like it. It's the OG relic. I love it. Also, Soul Guide Lantern. Yeah, let's see if there's a hyphen in there. Soul Guide Lantern. There we are. Yeah, 1 for Soul Guide Lantern. When it enters the battlefield, exile a card from a graveyard, tap it and sack it, exile each opponent's graveyard, and then 1 and sack it and draw a card. So you got the either or on the Soul Guide Lantern. Which do you like more? Do you like the either or do you like the relic and then you just draw a card? I think the relic's actually darn good because it replaces itself. And the Soul Guide is like either or. Even though it's a little bit cheaper to get it off, you just tap and sack it. It's also Soul Guide. Yes, it is. Thank you. The hyphen. Don't forget the hyphen. All right, the Sunscape Familiar is a common that costs you 1 white and 1, and it's in a chat. No, it's a wall. 0-3. Green spells and blue spells you cast cost 1 less. So I think this is played in a devotion deck. I believe it's played in a devotion deck to bring your mana cost down. Where were you? Arkeges the Strategist. Familiars. Rafik the Manny. Ragrella the Magpie. Ha! I gotta take a look at this card. Relic blows all your graves, so you need your grave. You might not want it. Point. Lagrella the Magpie. She's a magpie? Is she a bird? I don't see her looking very birdish. She's more human soldier. When Lagrella the Magpie enters the battlefield, exile any number of other target creatures controlled by different players until Lagrella leaves the battlefield. Exile any number of other target creatures controlled by different players? Really? Just exile everything for 3? When she enters the battlefield, exile any number of other creatures. Until Lagrella leaves the battlefield, when an exile card enters the battlefield under your control this way, put 2 counters on it. What? She just exiles everything? This is brutal. Exile any number of other target creatures controlled by different players until Lagrella leaves the battlefield. I think I first maybe found a magpie of a commander here. This seems really good. 3 mana for your bat commander. Lagrella? Played in Lagrella. Yeah, okay. Works good with containment pre. Oh, yeah. If a creature would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast, you exile it instead. That is some tech. Mill Master. Oh, that's right. Let's hit the dinger. Thank you. Thank you once again. Mill Master. All right.
Buy low, sell high. That's my motto.
Right. Buy low, sell high. That's my motto. Okay. Build the wall, the familiar wall. Very cool card. So Lagrella, a card that I was not even aware of. It's a board wipe on a stick. It's also got white on it, so you can play the containment priest. Really cool card. This card, who's familiar with this card here? Sounds like Prime 406 is. Soul's Attendant, $3, up 2% from the rise of the Eldrazi. All right. It's going to be a very interesting year, Benson. I'll tell you that right now. We're rebuilding the Ottoman Empire at this point in time, folks. One live stream at a time with you folks, the most amazing fans of Magic the Gathering who love the game as much as we do. Thanks again here. We're looking at the Soul's Attendant. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you gain a life. This is really hard to deal with in white life gain decks. Holy moly. I'm not even killing you. I'm just going, I'm not even going to attack you and kill you with combat damage. I'm going to make my life total so high, maybe blow you up with an Aether Flux Reservoir or just something that just wins me the game because I got so much life. Does that make you Sultan? Yeah, you can be Sultan. Yeah, no problem. The Brotoman Empire, right? This. Let's take a look at this great common card from Rise of the Eldrazi. Okay, let's see what this thing has been doing. Let's put some lines on charts because that's all I really want to do, right? Let's go here. So we're going east to west for roughly 60 cent, buck 50 all the way until 2021. Then a tick up in price with the Pabo. That's Phyrexia All Will Be One, the Pabo set. And now it's just kind of slumping. This thing's taken a bit of a downward trajectory. Wonder what the foil variant is worth. I always do. $12.20. Don't forget the 20 cent. Let's look at this. This is for you, Stefan. I do like to check the foil variant. Soul's Attendant, very strong card. Rise of the Eldrazi printing, $12. Played in Bilbo, the birthday celebrant. Celebrating the Bilbo. As well as Alora, the Ageless Ascetic, and Amelia Benavides Aguirre. Ellis Ilcor, Sadistic Pilgrim, Karlov, the Ghost Council, and Tiada, the Font of Hope, and a couple of other ones. Oh, holy shnikes, the Brotoman Empire. Copy that. This is right. All right, let's go. I'm gonna get Mickey Mouse to promote it because he's public domain now. He's up for anybody. Put him on a playmat. Put him on your YouTube channel. I think you can use it. You can even meme him or do an ad with him and maybe an AI voiceover. Hey. Scred. Let's look at this instant. Scred deals damage to target creature equal to the number of snow permanents you control. From Cold Snap. What's the foil version of Screddy Boy? $84. Holy smokes, the premium on these Cold Snap foils is out of this world. I just traded out of a couple of Cold Snap foils that I had overpaid for when they were hot and then they got banned. I'm not too sad about it because I did get into something, I did trade up into something a little better, so that's okay. But look at this Scred. Here's a foil that Stefan, you want to keep an eye on this. So if you're Popper, if you're Pimp, if you're playing Pimp My Ride and Popper, Pimp My Popper deck, this can't be real. Scred, seeing some price manipulation, was $50 and down. What's it available at the stores for? Sold out, $25. Yeah, there's $23 copies on it, and there's a few people trying to sell it for 79 or 69 giggity dollars on the eBay. Did Scred get banned? Let's see here. Popper legal. Commander legal. Not allowed in Brawl, not allowed in Historic. It doesn't look like it's banned. It does not appear as so. It does not appear as such, Millmaster. It appears the spread is still on the table. How about this card? I just think it's amazing to look at these common cards. And like I'm gonna give you an example of a card I paid $1.75 for. Cave In. I paid $1.75 for this rare sorcery from the Mercadian Mass in foil, and it's $66 now. So like you can actually do pretty good on some of these single printing foil variants. I believe this is the only version of the card, and it's also an alternate casting cost red card. I'm very fond of this card. It's Pyroclasm for free, but it also has this upside of dealing 2 damage to each creature and each player. So you may remove a red card in your hand rather than paying its mana cost. But it does 2 damage to each creature and player. It gets rid of pesky elves and little critters that are on the battlefield. A very cool card, which is kind of surprising to see. Like this Scred card, it's common and it's outpacing this rare from Mercadian Mass because it's like the only foil variant of this that you're going to find. Cold Snap foils, very nice. Very nice. Then we've got Standard Bearer. Okay, well, nobody can bear Standard, but this guy. This is the only card that can bear Standard, the Human Flag Bearer. It's a 1/1. It costs a white and 1. Let's take a look at it. When was it printed? Apocalypse. Apocalyptic. Hasim Apocalyptic. What? Apocalypse foil, $9. A Hasim Pedalon. All right. If an opponent plays a spell or ability that could target flag bearer in that play, if an opponent plays a spell or ability that could target flag bearer, that player chooses at least one flag bearer as the target. Really? So it's a redirect on a stick? This seems actually pretty good. What about in Commander? Yeah, some wickedly good art on this. Like this is some Ron Spencer art. I think we like it. I like this card. Excellent card. Very nice. Anti-Boggle. Oh yeah. So you want to put all your Boggle enchantments onto your slippery one, then this flag bearer is just gonna get slipperier than the Boggle. I like the tech coming from the Mill Master today. We need all of that on this show. I love it. Thank you so much, Mill Master. Yes, this is an anti-Boggle piece. I like it. So your opponent plays the Boggle, then they try to enchant it, but you've got this on the battlefield, and you go Voltron instead of Boggle going Voltron. The standard was all rallying point. The standard was a rallying point for the army and a target for the enemy. Very cool. This is another card that's seeing a lot of price increase. I would say this one here, been reprinted a bunch of times. Let's take a look at the foil version. Ravnica Remastered, $32 for the cheapest foil you can get. But this card is going to see some increase in price. Mark my words on it. This card is underpriced, especially in the foil version. All right. Retro foil, been printed a couple of times. Muddle the Mixture from Ravnica. City of Guild. This is a really playable card, especially in Commander. He says they made a 4-cost one many years later. I don't remember the name. Okay, a bigger flag bearer. Muddle the Mister, an interesting card. If you don't have Transmute Artifact, this is about the closest thing you're going to get for this kind of money. Okay, Transmute Artifact and Power Artifact were almost at parity just a couple of years ago, but with the printing of the One Ring and several other fantastic artifacts, the Transmute Artifact has outpaced the Power Artifact by a margin of 2-1. Seeing a card like this at $50 for a foil and even cheaper, just a couple of bucks, 424 for a Muddle of the Mixture that has Transmute on it, you can't go and get the One Ring, but you can definitely go get some other stuff. So it does half the job that Transmute Artifact could do, but it also does the following. Counter target instant or sorcery spell. It's 2 blue, right? Same mana cost as Transmute Artifact. Cost you 2 blue. That's a copy of a counter spell anyway. So if you're going to counter an instant or sorcery spell, this will cost you 2. And why not? It slots into the permission slot for interaction. Now, the second part on it, you can only do it as a sorcery, but you can discard this card and pay 2 blue and 1 and search your card for a card with the same converted mana cost of this card, which is 2. Reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle it and put it into play. You can get your Soul Ring, you can get any 2-drop, you can get the Bowmasters, you can get just about any 2-drop out there. So it does transmute for 2, is one of the only ways to tutor in Pauper. That's a very good point. Only the one, this guy's fire today. This is one of the few ways to tutor in Pauper. I didn't know that. I'm not very savvy on the Pauper format. I'm learning. I don't have a Pauper deck, but I love to hear the conversation, and this makes a lot of sense there, Millmaster. It was printed at common. Has it been upshifted? Let me see here. The Ravnica remasters shifted to uncommon. Yes. And the secret lair, I don't even know what this is. What? Rebecca Guay art. We got somebody falling down drunk. Not sure what Rebecca's getting at there, but she's got some horns on her. Here's a really popular commander card. This card has really been doing some damage at the decks. It's weirdo art. I know, right? I was like, what is this weirdo art? It's got some drunken chick falling down. She's broken her leg. It's like, looks like a scene out of like Bad Neighbors when Buddy jumps off the patio. We're jumping off the patio. And then he like just busts his leg back, right? It's even worse than that. Snap. Here's a card that's a win condition on it. If you can play this again and again, you can wipe the board. Cards like Breach, Underworld Breach are playing it to recur this and storm off and play it again and again. It's very good because it lets you untap 2 lands, so that's pretty good. If you can cast this off mana rocks, you can fix up your mana base pretty good. If you've got lands that tap for multiple and you cast this off rocks, or you put this on an Isokon Scepter and you're casting it off rocks, you can do really well with it. 1 blue and 1 return target creature to owner's hand and untap up to 2 lands. So it's really good. It's mana fixing, its mana selection. It helps you go off. It adds to storm count. It does a bunch of things. The most expensive copy to this is the Secret Lair version. I could care less about this particular Secret Lair version. Here's a very, very interesting point in case. We've got all the printings of Snap, and the one that fetches the highest amount of money is this $9.30 Secret Lair. I don't understand when we're comparing the Secret Lair prices against the original versions of the card. I don't know how, like, because it's got a raccoon on it. It does. It has a coon on it. A raccoon right there. Maybe he's trying to get it off his porch. That's clearly what he's doing here. But this art, is it worth 10 times the other art if you want just something that shuffles? I don't think so. Not for me, Secret Lair. Sorry, but I'm still running just a basic version of the Snap card. The Urza's Legacy, bet you $85, and a pretty fantastic card at that. All right, I got one more article for you folks here today. It's going to be a good one. I really enjoyed reading it, and I think you will like it too. It's about, and this is from a new writer that I haven't read any articles from, and I really enjoyed, Jason Comenetto. Longtime Magic the Gathering lover, falling in love with the game since 7th edition, as well as an EDH enthusiast for both casual and competitive metas. He's a screenwriter with a produced feature and plans to proceed with many more creative projects in and out of film. His favorite card is Rofelos, Llanowar Emissary, but he firmly believes that Mana Drain is his best card. All right, let's check out the Singleton format. I really enjoyed this article. And I hope you folks do too. Something that I never considered too much was building a commander deck that breaks the singleton rule. Now, this is an interesting way to do it. Morning, bro, TCG dude. Morning, it's nice to see you. This show is for you, my man. The secret layer that hosts that snap has some of the better art for secret layers. An art fan. I'm at the point where for some stuff I just want things that will shuffle. I'm not gonna need the $10 version on something like a Snap. I'm just gonna go for the basic one. But that's cool. I mean, I should look at the rest of the secret layer art. Maybe I'm missing something. Thank you for the comment, TCG dude. Let's talk about the singleton rules for Commander. So these are This is a kind of an interesting set of cards here. And this is why I really enjoyed this article, and it makes me have something to think about because I really want to kind of try this. Longtime player commander learning that gravitating towards a specific type of card that break and exploit the core rules of the game. These can range from alternative win cons like mechanized production, screwing with the turn order, as well as mentioned previously when highlighting Time Sifter. I've got a Time Sifter. I was actually considering it, put in a deck. Anything that takes part of the game that is accepted or given and turns it on its head can be extremely unexpected and powerful, especially turn order. Yes. So, what better way to catch your opponents off guard than by running 20 copies of the same card that's not a basic land? In Commander, famously singleton format, there are a handful of cards that you may play a number of in your deck, and they are the following ones. The one that I like the most is the Dragon's Approach. Okay, I do like it. And for reasons that we'll read on by Mr. Danetti here into the rest of this article. You got the Dragon's Approach. You can have any number of them in your deck. You've got the Relentless Rats and the Persistent Petitioner. You can have as many Relentless Rats in play, and each other rat gets +1/+1 for each creature named Relentless Rats. The Persistent Petitioner, they put the top card of their target player's library into their graveyard, and then you tap 4 of these, and target player puts the top 12 cards of their library into their graveyard, and you can have any number of the petitioners. The one I think is spicy is the Dragon's Approach. Murray Cooper has a deck, and I really found it kind of catching me off guard when he was catching multiple copies of the Dragon's Approach. The reason I like this card is because I also like a card like Vicious Rumors. It it's 1 mana, and it does something to each opponent. So anytime you have a commander card that does, each opponent does something. Each opponent does this, each opponent does that. That becomes extremely powerful in commander, especially if you can reduce the costs on it. Each opponent discards a card, each opponent loses a life. Dragon's Approach deals 3 damage to each opponent, and then you can exile Dragon's Approach and 4 cards named Dragon's Approach from your graveyard. And if you do, you get to search for a dragon creature, put it into the battlefield, and then shuffle. You can have any number of cards like this. So we're running dragons. So give me some suggestions, boys. What dragon are we running with the Dragon's Approach? I'm thinking Itali. Itali's mono red, and it's definitely an include perhaps here in this Dragon's Approach deck. Let's take a look and read on. There's a chance you may have pulled one of these in a secret lair. Wizards have been dropping special printings of the Relentless Rats, Shadow Baron Apostle, and Persistent Petitioners as a bonus card in each of these drops for some time. Fingers crossed we get the same types of treatments for Dragon's Approach. Some of them can be worth quite a bit, so chances are people will be wanting to show off their fancy new pulls and building decks around them soon. Today we're going to be talking about some of these cheap synergies that go in there. So we got Black Deck's got this secret salvage. Okay, exile target non-land card from your graveyard, search your library for a number of cards with the same name, reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle. So you exile 1 Dragon's Approach, and then you just go get all the other Dragon's Approaches from your library and just put them right into your hand. Goldspan Dragon, another great possible target, and the Terror of the Peaks. Thank you for that. Terror of the Peaks, Goldstrand. So this secret salvage almost makes you want to consider building a 2-colored deck. For black decks, the secret salvage from Aether Revolt is basically useless in Commander, other than the fact that you can be used as a powerhouse in these singleton decks that have Reliquary Tower, because you can hold any number of the copies of the card that you can go tutor for. You get 20 copies of Dragon's Approach in your hand. Other ways to achieve no maximum hand size at 5 mana, it may seem expensive, but if you're running Shadowbone Apostle or Coloscopy Relentless Rat, Colony of Relentless Rats, filling your hand with as many copies of the core card is the best way to play. Seems simple, straightforward, but the growing threat from chain dropping rats and apostles is often to overwhelm an opponent's early up. So I like we're getting into some stuff where I like the chaining the spells together. I think it's very important that we're going to have to reduce the mana cost on this Dragon's Approach from 3 down to 1. Okay, and how are we going to do that? Probably cards like Ruby Medallion, or we can even play Helm of Awakening, something that makes everything cost 1 less. Ruby Medallion is going to make your red spells cost 1 less, and then you might want to consider some creatures that can help you out. How about this card right here? For Dragon's Approach, we got the Cheering Fanatic. Let's read this card and pivot a bit here, because pivot, wizards, pivot. All right, let's get up the stairs with this Cheering Fanatic. There's 2 cards that have an incredible synergy with Dragon Approach and could be a potential sleeper hit if Wizards does decide to print more instants and sorceries that broke the singleton card rule. I like this tech here, and it's very interesting. First up, we have the Cheering Fanatic, a red 2-drop from Battle Bond. It helps facilitate big turns if played correctly, while Ruby Medallion is all the better around, but $14. Any kind of cost reducer that works great with Dragon's Approach, especially if you have a way of turning that damage into card advantage with something like Virtue of Courage. Let's take this one. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, you may exile that many cards from your top of your library, and you may play those cards this turn. Amberwith Braves deals 2 damage to any target. So this is some red synergy. And Sirkara. Whenever Sirkara the Bold or an instant or sorcery spell you control deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of your library, you may play that card. Getting stuff off the top. But my favorite one is Bergie. Bergie's so interesting because you can help use her to chain spells together. Let's read Bergie. She's the storyteller that just keeps on telling. Whenever you cast a spell, add red. Any spell, add red. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. Creatures you control can boast twice during each of your turns rather than once. The Cheering Fanatic is a 2/2 goblin that costs 2 mana. Whenever it attacks, choose a card name. So in this case, we're choosing Dragon's Approach, and it says spells with a chosen name cost 1 less to cast. So if you've got a Bergie, a Ruby Medallion, and this guy, Jessica's Will, very good, very good, very good include there, Gaming Bob. So you get the Cheering Fanatic down. They look down the barrel of a 2/2 goblin, and it basically says, I'm a 2/2, and I'm going to name a card. And people are not really worried about it. You can catch them off guard because they don't know what you're going to name until the turn goes around and you're about to attack with this guy, and then you declare him, then you get the trigger. So as soon as you get to attack, then the jig is up, right? So you name Dragon's Approach. Then your Dragon's Approach coming after that cost 1 less. If you got a Bergie on the battlefield, she's going to make a red every single time that you cast a Dragon's Approach, paying for the red pip, and then you're just down to 1. So with a Ruby Medallion, your Dragon's Approaches are free with this guy and Bergie. Great card, the Spells Weaver Helix. An old Mirrodin oddity that doesn't seem to really have much of a home in any specific deck, but it does work here. Let's read it. Spellweaver Helix costs 3 from Mirrodin. When you imprint and you cast this card, it comes into play. You may remove 2 sorcery cards in a single graveyard from the game. Whenever a card is played, if it has the same name as one of those imprinted sorcery cards, you get to copy it without paying its mana cost. So you get to Dragon's Approach twice every single time. Pretty great. You can imprint a Wheel of Fortune. Well, that's pretty cool. And then you get to go get more Dragon's Approach. That seems pretty good. basically guaranteeing you that every one of your core spells is a 2-for-1 and another similar effect. Let's just remember that Dragon's Approach does 3 damage to each player. So every time you're casting it, you're going 9 around a full board at a commander set. This card is very interesting to me. I would love to pick this up just based on speculation. This is a very cool card. The Locket of Yesterdays from Time Spiral. Let's look at the Locket. You got some Poly Pocket Locket in your pocket. You can rock it into this deck. For 1 mana, spells you play cost 1 less to cast for each spell card with the same name as that spell in your graveyard. 1 less for each card with the same name? So with the Singleton Dragon's Approach, this Locket only costs 1, which is fantastically cheap. And then whenever you get another Dragon's Approach in the bin, it makes it cost 1 less for each Dragon Approach. And if you've got a Burgi, God of Storytelling on the battlefield, then your next Dragon's Approach, every time you cast one, you get red, and you've got 2 in the bin. Then this just lets you chain spells together and go multiple Dragon's Approaches. So you can wheel together a handful, or you can stuff your hand full of those Dragon's Approaches. And then with the Locket, like basically Locket with Burgi and multiple Dragon's Approaches and a draw engine is a really fun looking deck. Locket of Yesterday evergreen recommendation because it's colorless and it can go into other decks. If you want to try to include persistent petitioners, you may not want to have this game ending impact like a Thrumming Stone rather than the Locket, but it should be considered as a much of an auto include for any deck that breaks the Singleton rule. Having seen only 1 printing in Time Spiral with no sign of another printing anytime soon, the Locket is less than $1 and is arguably just as strong as some of the medallions in these decks. It only costs 1 mana to play it, so it comes out earlier and more consistently, and it can fit literally in any deck, since if you're running discard effects, why not take advantage of that? Conclusions from Jason are the following. All in all, this is a solid round of recommendations for dirt cheap pickups for Commander Singleton decks, barring some of the more obscure foils, and can absolutely be acquired by anyone building this style of deck. So if you were ever gifted a secret lair in this holiday season and were lucky enough to open one of the many cards that bend the Singleton rules in Commander, or simply trying a new deck archetype, really any reason is a good reason to try the unique play styles that come with these recommended cards. A special thank you for Jason Caminetto for an excellent article here featuring some Singleton Commander cards. I really do like this interaction. What's that? Oh, all right, that's time. That's time in the round, folks. Thanks a lot for watching, folks. It's been a slice. It's been really nice, and I really appreciate you all for watching. And thanks again to Savannah Lyon for tuning in today on the show. It's really nice to see you. Benson and Friends, Prime 406 Games, Cosmic Seeds, The Millmaster, bringing us some hot tech. My friend MTG Gaming Bob, Richie Dubs, Prime 406 Games, Super Fast Tortage, and Ed the Dual Brain, really making today's Wednesday edition awesome. But we couldn't have had the show without you, TCG Jude. I really appreciate you for joining the team here this morning on a Wednesday hump day edition of Morning Magic the Gathering Stocks and some Magic the Gathering Talks. Motivating yourself on a Wednesday. Only 2 more days of the weekend. Keep it up. It's the best day of the week to eat camel meat because it's hump day. If Johnny buys 17 donuts every Monday and eats 12 of them each Wednesday, what is Johnny left with at the end of the year? The answer is diabetes. All right, folks, have a nice day. We'll chat you a little later on. This has been your host, Brody Alfonso, bringing the Magic the Gathering Stock Show. We'll talk to you again real soon. Having some camel hump roast for dinner tonight.